Hello and welcome back to American Classic Tour TV. I'm your host, JD Conroy, and I am very, very excited for today's episode. And that's because we're going to be talking about my favorite American Classic Tour. As you can see here, I just love this tour. And it is our Southwest National Parks Tour coming up next September. So before we get into the itinerary, just a couple quick notes. I want to let you know that if you sign up for this tour before July 1st, you'll save $200 off of this tour. A lot of people have been calling in over the last couple months and asking me, JD, when is Southwest National Parks coming out? I really want to sign up. We anticipate this tour will sell out fast. So it's, you can save your seat and save that $200 if you sign up by July 1st. The second note is, if you've not done so already, if you could hit the red rectangular button that sits just below the right-hand corner of this video and subscribe to our videos, we'd really, really appreciate it. Okay, so what is it that makes this tour so special? Well, first of all, it features 5 of our country's most beautiful national parks. Arches National Park, Canyonlands National Park, Bryce Canyon National Park, Zion National Park, and the Grand Canyon National Park. This tour is also bookended by 2 fascinating cities that happen to be quite different from one another. Our tour begins in Salt Lake City for a couple days and ends in Las Vegas. Some other highlights of this tour include Dead Horse State Park, Monument Valley, Lake Powell, the Glen Canyon Dam, the Navajo Bridge and the Vermilion Cliffs. And a couple other things that make this tour really special are it features multiple experiential hotels that are attractions in and of themselves, and scenic drives. One of my favorite parts of this tour is going from one national park to another. The drives out in the American West are just beautiful. Let's take a look at the itinerary. Like any other American Classic Tour, your tour will begin with a free home pickup at your front door. Your limousine driver will drive you to the airport, where you will be met curbside by an American Classic Tour staff member who will lead you inside to a private group airline check-in where you'll meet your tour director and the rest of your group. We'll fly into Salt Lake City, a beautiful city which butts right up to the Rocky Mountains. And our first stop in Salt Lake City will be at Temple Square. We'll learn all about the history of the Mormons, founded, of course, by Joseph Smith and led out to Utah by Brigham Young. While we're in Temple Square, we'll see the Mormon Temple. If you're Mormon, you can go inside of the temple. If you're not, you can see this beautiful structure from the outside. We'll go inside to see the Mormon Tabernacle, where the famous Mormon Tabernacle Choir performs. And then that night, we'll enjoy a delicious buffet atop the roof restaurant overlooking Salt Lake City, the beautiful Rocky Mountains, and the Mormon Temple. We'll check into the luxurious Grand America Hotel for a one-night stay. This hotel is just lovely. It was built to house the rich, the famous, the elites who came into Salt Lake City for the 2002 Winter Olympics. And then the next day, we will take a guided tour of Salt Lake City, which will include a tour of the Capitol building, both the inside and the outside of the Capitol. Next, we'll take a scenic drive from Salt Lake City to the Moab area. Now, Moab sits right in between Arches and Canyonlands National Parks. And when we get to Moab, we will check in to the Red Cliffs Lodge. Now, at the beginning of this video, I talked about how we'll be staying at a lot of experiential hotels on this tour. Now, the Red Cliffs Lodge is the definition of an experiential hotel, a hotel that is an attraction in and of itself. Here's why. It sits perfectly on the Colorado River, as you can see here in this photo, amidst these giant red rock cliffs. And there's some real neat things about this lodge. It's home to a horse ranch, it's home to a winery, and a historical movie museum. How would you like to wake up in the morning and look out your back door and see a horse grazing as the sun is rising against these giant red rock cliffs? How would you like to eat breakfast here in the morning and looking at this perfect western scene? Or how about sitting on your back porch right next to the Colorado River? This is what makes this lodge so special. It's also home to a historical movie museum. A lot of classic westerns, such as Rio Grande, were shot here at the Red Cliffs Lodge on the Colorado River. It's real fascinating to learn all about those westerns you've watched growing up. The next day, we'll tour Arches National Park. Now, Arches scenery is just magnificent. It's almost kind of otherworldly. You'll feel like you're on Mars or something as you tour Arches National Park. Arches is home to over 2,000 natural stone arches, as you can see here. Then we'll visit Canyonlands National Park. Canyonlands is special because of its endless overlooks of canyons. It's just canyon after canyon. It's just, the scenery is just spectacular. And we will also see Dead Horse State Park, which is actually located within Canyonlands National Park, for some more tremendous views. We'll return to the Red Cliffs Lodge. For dinner, we'll have a cowboy steak cookout, and we'll sit here overlooking the Colorado River and those beautiful red cliffs. Next, we'll depart Moab and we'll make our way down to Monument Valley, which is located here on the border of Utah and Arizona in Navajo Nation. We'll enjoy some memorable scenery as we travel down to Monument Valley, which is pictured here. Now, this is perhaps the most iconic or famous photograph or scene of the American West. For a lot of people, when you conjure up an image of what the West looks like, these three mittens or buttes here might be what comes to mind. And the notoriety of this place is due in large part to the work of John Wayne and John Ford. They said this was their playground. So many of those iconic John Wayne films were shot here in Monument Valley. We'll also take in a sunrise cruise, a breakfast cruise on Lake Powell. Lake Powell is a beautiful lake. It's actually a man-made lake, but its bright blue waters contrasted with the red canyon walls are just gorgeous. We'll also tour the Glen Canyon Dam, a modern engineering marvel built in the 60s, sits here on Lake Powell. The next day, we'll make our way from Lake Powell right here. We'll drive southwest to the North Rim Lodge of the Grand Canyon. We'll enjoy just an unforgettable scenic drive to the Grand Canyon. We'll drive across the Navajo Bridge and past the Vermilion Cliffs, those big red cliffs pictured there. We'll make our way up, ascend in elevation up the Kaiblab Plateau. We'll go from red rocks to more greenery as we make our way to the North Rim Lodge of the Grand Canyon. Now look at this. Look at that photo right there. That is our hotel, our lodge that we're staying at, and it literally sits right there on the rim overlooking the Grand Canyon. You'll be seated here at one of these seats overlooking perhaps our country's most treasured site, the Grand Canyon. I wish I could go back to the Grand Canyon for the first time. I've been there 4 or 5 times now. Seeing it for the first time, it's like such a mind-bending or mind-altering experience. You cannot wrap your mind around the vastness and the beauty of the Grand Canyon. Look at that there. Just amazing. And we're staying, like I said, right there on the North Rim Lodge. The North Rim also receives 1/10 the amount of visitors that the South Rim does. It's only open half the year, from around May to October. So it's real remote. It's really an awesome way to see the Grand Canyon. Next, we'll journey from the Grand Canyon National Park up north back into Utah to Bryce Canyon National Park. Now, Bryce Canyon's home to these unique pinnacle-shaped rock formations called hoodoos. And they sit in these huge, what they call amphitheaters, pictured here, these canyons of these hoodoos, which make for some awesome scenery. I've had people tell me it's so nice to go from the vastness of the Grand Canyon to this kind of more intimate national park where you can get up close right into these canyons and these amphitheaters to see these beautiful hoodoos. Next, we'll make our way to Zion National Park, which was the last national park we'll be taking in on this tour. It also happens to be my favorite of the 5 national parks we see on this tour. And what I love so much about Zion National Park is its contrast, the contrast of its bright red rock cliffs and its bright green, lush vegetation that sits at the bottom of Zion Canyon. There's just some awesome scenery. I mean, look at that. Look at these dramatic cliffs here at Zion. You'll see many scenes like this as we tour Zion National Park. We'll begin the last leg of our journey with another scenic drive southwest from Zion National Park to Las Vegas. We'll enter Las Vegas in the early afternoon, and you'll have free time on your own to explore the world-famous Las Vegas Strip. We'll check into the Bellagio Hotel for a one-night stay. It's really nice after being out in nature for 7 days to kind of return to civilization, the bright lights, and really the luxury of one of Vegas's nicer hotels, the Bellagio Hotel and Resort. The next morning, you will wake up, we'll enjoy a gourmet breakfast at the Bellagio Hotel and Resort before we fly back home. So that's our tour to the Southwest National Parks coming up next September 19th to the 27th of 2020. So Let's take a look at all that's included in the tour. Like any other American Classic tour, your tour will begin with a free home pickup and return, a private group airline check-in, round-trip airfare, and one checked bag is included in your tour, 8 nights deluxe hotel accommodations, and 16 meals, which include 8 breakfasts, 1 lunch, and 7 dinners. All attractions, tours, and admission fees are included up front. Luggage handling throughout your tour is included. All tips and taxes are included, even tips for your motor coach driver and your tour director. The services of premier local guides are included up front, and the services of an American Classic tour director are included as well. There's limited space available on this tour. Over the last few months especially, I've had a lot of people calling into our office saying, JD, when is the Southwest National Parks tour going to come out? We really want to sign up. We're ready to sign up whenever it comes out. So we do anticipate that this tour will sell out, and I really think it's going to sell out fast. So if you're interested, remember there's a $200 Tour TV discount. If you mention you saw this episode and you sign up by July 1st, we'll give you $200 off your reservation. So if you're ready to join us, here are the prices and the travel insurance rates. Now, one note, if you're not from the greater Chicagoland area, we have what we call land-only packages. This is the same exact tour, except we pull out the airfare out of the cost and out of the package, so that if you're from Florida or Ohio or Massachusetts, you can fly into the airport and meet your tour director right at the airport. To make a reservation, call 847-548-3333. That's 847-548-3333. There's a $1,500 deposit due with your reservation, and the final payment isn't due up until next May. One more time, if you sign up by July 1st, there's a $200 Tour TV discount. To see the full itinerary, visit amclassictours.com/Southwest National Parks, or of course you can call us and request a brochure. Thanks everybody for tuning in to this episode of American Classic Tour TV. I hope you can join me next year on my favorite American Classic tour.